You ever just forget a character? Like they were there, but they weren't really popular or anything, so you just kind of forget about them and they fade from the public eye. Gex. Originally intended to be a mascot for the 3DO, whatever that is, Gex at first glance seems like your standard mascot platformer. But when you actually play the game, or at least look a little bit more into its level designs and aesthetics, it's got a style that is all its own that hasn't really been matched to anything to my knowledge. It's not breaking new boundaries or anything, but it's cool. Gex was created by Crystal Dynamics, who also made this ad.
Play ball!
Crystal Dynamics 32-bit lineup with all the nose bleeding, brain bruising, and eye-grabbing power that you'd expect from the leader.
Yeah, and after seeing that, would you believe that they're still a thing? Yeah, they're the ones that have been making the Tomb Raider games as of recent years. They're also making some Marvel's Avenger thing. I didn't look into that part. But yeah, they still exist, even after this thing.
Are there any other games we could play?
And Gex. All of the Gex games are platformers. Gex 1 is a 2D platformer that kinda gives me Donkey Kong Country vibes, and Gex 2 and 3 are 3D platformers more akin to Mario 64. I'll get more in depth about the games in a minute. Right now I want to talk about one of the reasons why Gex stands out to me. Gex. Gex the character, I mean, not the game. Gex's whole shtick is that he's constantly making pop culture references and jokes about the environments around him. Although, if we're being honest, most of the time they just seem kind of out of nowhere and don't actually have anything to do with the environments around him, except like, this is as scary as this celebrity's house on the weekend.
Looks like Beetlejuice threw up.
See, that wasn't just a joke. He actually just says stuff like that in the game, just all the time.
To see the world as Keith Richards does.
That's Dana Gould voicing Gex, a comedian who also wrote all of Gex's lines. While I'm not going to sit here and say that he's really funny, Dana Gould's voice really does make Gex stand out. No other character really sounds like that. Like, you hear that voice and you think, yeah, that's Gex. No one else is that annoying.
There's a place in France where the ladies wear no pants.
Behind one of these doors is a brand new car.
Gee, Scoob, let's get back to the mystery van.
It's tail time. It's tail time.
It's tail time.
Tail time.
So Gex's whole thing is that he's a smartass that's constantly making pop culture references. The only issue is that these pop culture references really date the character. I mean, sure, you got references to movies that I'm sure everyone has seen at this point, but the constant references to celebrities that haven't been active for years?
Hey, I feel like I'm trapped in Boy George's pants.
It's like, Gex, who are you even talking about? If you ask me, though, I think that kind of makes the character a little bit more funny, just because it's like, I don't know, it's like your grandpa making a reference to something that you've never heard of before. It's almost funny that he's expecting you to get everything that he's saying. I think the reason why he's constantly making pop culture references, other than that being a really popular form of comedy at the time, is because it fits the game's world setting. All three of the games involve Gex going inside the media dimension to collect TV remotes found within different TV channels. Given that the worlds are themed around media, it makes sense why the humor focuses mostly on pop culture references.
We've knocked out the generator, Lord Vader. You may start your landing.
And I have to say, the level themes themselves are another reason why I enjoy Gex so much. You don't just get Desert World, Ice World, Fire World. No, in Gex you get stuff like Horror World, Cartoon World, Detective World, Ancient Pyramids level, that's my favorite TV channel, Pirate World, Army World, Kung Fu World. This gives the game a lot more variety. The first two games do reuse level themes for multiple levels, but the third one, every single level is different. Main level, the bonus levels like to reuse the same assets, but they're just bonus levels, who cares? Other games have done media-based level theming since Gex, Ape Escape 3 being a game that stands out, but that game doesn't have Gex in it, does it?
Gex. There is no substitute.
At least Gex dresses up in costumes for some of the levels. See him as like a pirate, firefighter, a pharaoh, a kung fu man, caveman, and...
Oh my god, it's Bugs Bunny!
So the levels are pretty cool, and Gex is, well, Gex. But do the games play well? I mean, the first game plays pretty okay. It's your standard 2D platformer. Use your tail as a weapon, you lick up items. And you can climb walls, which is pretty cool. Inoffensive, not really groundbreaking or anything. The other two Gex games, however, are 3D. It pretty much takes the concepts that were established in the 2D game and puts it in the 3D environment, not unlike Mario 64 to Super Mario Bros. The only difference is that game is good and these ones are... they're playable. I genuinely have fun playing them, but I can't really say the controls are good. That's a problem with a lot of 3D PlayStation 1 games. They sort of regulate the 3D movement to the D-pad. Analog controls weren't really the standard at the time of the game's release, so it always feels like you're moving on somewhat of a grid. You don't have that free-flowing movement that Mario gives you in Mario 64. In Gex, it almost feels like you're moving in just 8 directions. These are not challenging games either, unless you're like really bad at scavenger hunts. Because this is what you would call a collectathon. You know, you collect a lot of things. Because that's what you do. You collect remotes, fly coins, whatever the hell they have you collect in Gex 2. And that's it. You collect things, open up new areas to collect more things, and then occasionally beat a boss or two. So why go back and play Gex then? It's not challenging, and it's not like we're getting a new installment anytime soon. I mean, the only real thing I haven't mentioned yet is the fact that the music slaps. Like, randomly, you wouldn't think a Gex game would have good music, but all the music in all these games is actually, like, really good. They get a song that starts off like this. And then later on, it goes into this. Then the boss battle theme sounds like this. Like, geez, thank God for the CD era of gaming. So why would you want to go back and play Gex? Maybe you really want to see all the cutscenes in Gex 3 in which a real-life woman flirts with Gex?
Nice work, Pegleg.
Arg me, wench. When this is over, we can play pirate, and Blackbeard the Gecko will be your nasty cabin boy.
Yeah, this isn't uncomfortable.
Hey, Spartacus. Where did you learn those moves? Ever been to a Turkish bathhouse?
Hey, that wasn't me, I swear. Besides, I'm about to try out some new holds on you, my precious pin doctor.
Yeah, I really want to think about Gex doing the hanky-panky with a real woman. That's weird.
It's tail time.
Come here, you silly Gex.
But you didn't move the body!
Really, I feel like the only reasons to go back and play Gex are if you either A, have high nostalgia for the games like I do, or B, just really enjoy collectathon mascot platformers. Really, the games are inoffensive, and if you can deal with some kind of not great controls, it's fun to just zone out and see what kind of levels show up and just collect things for a couple hours. And listen to some really bad jokes.
Akira to white courtesy phone. Akira to white courtesy phone.
But let's say they were to make a new Gex game. What should they do? I know a lot of people want a Gex trilogy remake with the popularity of the Crash Insane trilogy and the Spyro Reignited trilogy, but I don't know, other than making the controls a little bit better with full analog support, I don't really know if they're worth remaking. No, I'd say there should be a Gex 4, and here's how I would do it. Alright, let's say after the events of Gex 3, the US government froze Gex just in case they needed him again. Years later, in our modern time, the villain of the series, Rez, is found in the media dimension again. Except this time, he's siphoning all of his power from streaming services. So they send Gex back into the media dimension to do his thing, except this time he's going through streaming services. And that could be your world aesthetics, right? The overworld's like a streaming service, and all the levels are just the movies and shows within that. You'd have like a level based off of all the zombie shows. Level based off of a bunch of cooking shows. Maybe Gex is like tiny and in a kitchen running away from chefs trying to chop him and stuff. You don't need to make Gex some internet star that wants to stream or go into the internet and go through internet trends and funny memes and stuff. You would have to keep him at his core. He's all about media and TV. And our modern TV really is streaming services. Cable TV's just kind of dead at this point. It's all about the streaming services now, and that's what really you should base Gex on. But really, at the end of the day, who would be stupid enough to make a new Gex game? Other than me. Oh well, I'll always remember Gex. Whether I want to or not. Gex is gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, isn't he?
Hey, cool. I wonder what's on HBO.